Yes,
bro.
I am from Minneapolis.
Okay. Bro, you think that's okay? Check his pulse.
Check his right.
Child, check his pulse.
Get back in the
Check. The man ain't moved yet, bro. The man ain't moved yet, bro.
Okay. Where?
Minneapolis.
Okay.
Bro, you're a bum, bro. You're a bum, bro. You're
Check
definitely
his
a
pulse
bum,
right
bro.
now. Tell me what it is. Tell me what his pulse is right now.
In Minnesota, where tensions between protesters and police reached a boiling point following the death of George Floyd. He is the black man who appeared to be suffocated by a white police officer during an attempted arrest on Monday. Thousands gathered demanding justice after a video was released of the officer using his knee to pin down Floyd's neck. Protesters threw rocks at police chanting, "I can't breathe." Those are the words that Floyd used himself during the arrest. Officers fired tear gas into the crowd in response.
All right, y'all, this is a special episode of Dixieland, the Proletariat. As we record, there's an uprising going on in Minneapolis about the death of Greg Floyd at the hands of the Minneapolis Police Department. And we're here with the Merritt brothers, two of which are on the ground in Minneapolis and going to tell us what they've seen. I'll start with Andy. Andy, if you'll start and just tell us what you've seen and what's the backstory and what's been going
on. Okay, so basically this, what I know of it, what we know of it so far is George Floyd tried to
George
pass,
Floyd, my bad.
Yeah. George Floyd tried to pass a supposed counterfeit $20 bill at this market down in South Minneapolis. And the store owners called the cops. 4 cops showed up, handcuffed him, put him in the back of the car, took him out of the car, and then this one dude, Derek Chavin was his name, I think. One of the cops kneeled on his neck until he died. And historically, Minneapolis has been really terrible in regards to the segregation, the achievement gap, and police brutality. So I wasn't at the protest last night. I was at a protest today outside his house. Greg would be able to speak about last night better than I would. If we could.
Yeah, Greg, do you want to talk about what you saw last night?
Okay, so last night the plan, as was spread through a Facebook group, was to meet at the site of the killing for a rally. Let's see, we were all social distancing as best we could, but you know how that goes. Let's see, then we marched down to the precinct of the cops that killed him, and once everyone was there, the rally went on for a little while. No real problems. I was mostly directing traffic while I was there, yelling at people to turn around. Some of them complied right away, some didn't. One guy decided to just speed off and crashed into a parked car, which gave us a chance to show how well protesters in Minneapolis let ambulances through, which is very well. We're good at that. Let's see. At a certain point, the peaceful protest managers decided, hey, it's over. Let's clear out before any trouble starts. And that's when the real protests began, what people have probably been seeing on the news and in Unicorn Riot and shit like that. Described on It's Going Down. Got to give all my shout-outs. And, the cops, stormed out. People were breaking windows, ripping down light fixtures, the standard good stuff, tagging the building. And the cops started firing tear gas, not at the people necessarily attacking the building, property, but just indiscriminately into the crowd. Let's see, what else can I say? So, yeah, there was just a lot of back and forth. People would come up, confront the cops, say what they needed to say. and the cops would fire tear gas at random people, concussion grenades. I didn't see rubber bullets personally, but I've seen the damage to bus stops around there, and I've heard more than a few reporters say that they got hit. But yeah, it looked like a war zone down there. There was tons of tear gas just floating in the air. I guess the people that live around that area, it's going into their houses and shit. It's a mess. And it's still going on today.
Could you elaborate more about like the police's response? Because from the videos that we're seeing, it seems it's turning into a brutal crackdown of protesters. So I guess you said tear gas, concussion grenades. I've seen the videos of people getting hit with rubber bullets, and obviously they're quote unquote less than lethal, but they can be lethal if they hit you in the right spot. And it just seems like it's a repeat of the Ferguson uprising, Baltimore uprising. It seems like this is another time where the people are coming together and saying enough is enough. So could you just elaborate a little bit more what you've seen? Because we hear of especially what you said with the person that got angry and just started speeding through, that takes us back to Charlottesville. So if you could just talk just a little bit more about like specifically that whole aspect, because I think that's what people really, really want to see, because we see like what we see on the news is obviously censored, but it seems like now with social media and Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, that we're actually seeing what's really going on.
Well, for more specific questions, like what were the numbers like out there? Were there any counter protesters? Like how were the cops? Yeah, and back to what Nelson said, like how did the cops seem to be taking it?
Okay. For numbers, I mean, on some of the local news sites, they were saying hundreds, but there's no way there were just hundreds. There were definitely thousands. I'm not the greatest estimator, but there had to have been at least 10,000 people there. It took up like 3 square blocks. Let's see, even with social distancing, which again, it's never perfect at these things. There weren't any counter protesters that I could see. There were just like a few Karens that refused to turn around when they were asked to, and like wanted the protesters to all make room for them, which no, we're not going to allow that. We turn people away for a good reason. And like you mentioned, Nelson, in Charlottesville, a car plowed into a bunch of people. We're not going to let that happen again. We can't let that happen again. That was a tragedy. The police response. So yeah, they waited until a lot of the windows were broken and light fixtures were torn down and stuff like that. They stormed out in like full riot gear and gas masks, and right away it was tear gas. I saw more than a few people bleeding. It probably was from the rubber bullets now that I think about it, because those things can draw blood. And a lot of these people were teenagers. There's some people with like little kids and stuff, and the police were not controlling the response at all. It was just, we need to disperse the entire crowd, so just fire them wherever. And I don't know. There's a fucking respiratory illness going around right now, and you're subjecting the entire town to tear gas. Like, it's not just the protesters; it's anyone that lives around that area. I remember at one point I was standing like a little distance away from the protest, like in the road, because people were still kind of driving through that area, getting directed to turn around and all that. But I had to tell them, like, roll up your windows, turn your AC off. There's a cloud of tear gas in the air up there. That's not just smoke or steam or nothing. That's tear gas. And yeah, I was lucky. I got tear gas pretty bad a couple of times. I guess it's my own fault for protest. No. But there's plenty of people with milk. All you have to do is walk up to someone with a gallon, say, "Hey, help me out," and they'll dump some on your head, and that's all good. Let's see, what else can I say? There's something I was thinking. Those jugs of milk, they're also effective projectiles. A few people discovered. You can throw them through precinct windows. There was one guy that was just dumping milk into the broken windows, I guess to make the pig pen nice and smelly. I don't know. I guess that's what I got for now.
And Andy, so you were at the you weren't there last night, but you were at events this morning. I've seen on both y'all's Facebook pages. Can you tell us like what you saw this morning? Like what has been the atmosphere? Like obviously everyone knows at night things get crazy, and then the next morning things sometimes tend to die down. But it seems like it's getting more. It's gaining steam. Like the protests are still up and still going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So, we caught wind of the killer cop, Chavin. His address got posted by somebody, and people started camping out, protesting his house last night.
Hell yeah.
He tried to order food at least 3 times, and every time the delivery driver was stopped by protesters. At one point, they bought the pizzas off the driver to feed the protesters.
Yes.
That is fucking awesome.
So we were there today, this afternoon, outside his house, which is not in Minneapolis. It's about 17 miles away in the suburb called Oakdale. 96%, 94% of cops in Minneapolis don't actually live in Minneapolis. So yeah, we're out in Oakdale, and basically this little side street where he lived on the corner of a fairly major street and a little side street. And the side street had been blocked off on both ends with looked like police barricades, and we were milling around outside. People had signs, cars were honking by. Then around 4:00, a group of 4 uniformed officers approached the group to try to tell us we need to go across the semi-major street. We can't be on this little side street anymore. And there was an argument that went on for probably 20 minutes or so. Protesters yelling at the cops like, "Oh, you just gotta move, you just gotta move." And basically what happened was the group decided, well, we're going to take both sides of the street then. So the cops won nothing on that exchange. According to more recent pictures I've seen, there's a lot more cops on scene now. They're suited up in riot gear. Face masks, batons out, and it looks like they're kind of toe to toe to get the protesters to vacate the property. Yeah, I guess that's all. That's pretty much.
So at his house, I'm guessing. So I guess what am I trying to say? Do you feel like did the police presence grow? It seems like as y'all like there, because it seems like the pigs like to stay together, so they don't want anyone to whatever. But like, did he ever come out and like say anything, or did he just hide up in his house?
No, and the cops actually told us he's not here, but who knows? Maybe he was. Maybe they moved him somewhere safe. Point is, they were protecting him. They were protecting a murderer. They weren't there to serve and protect the people. They were there to back up their buddy.
Yeah.
So,
Jeff, did you want to chime in? You got to unmute him, Tommy.
Woo! All right. I just think that it would be really beneficial at this time if we got some background on the racism from the Minneapolis Police Department. I think Andy would be a good resource on that, seeing as how he has dealt directly with the union rep for the Minneapolis Police Department, Bob KKK Kroll.
Yes, I remember this. I remember this when y'all were talking about it.
So gladly unmute me again and go back over to Andy so he can talk about Bob Kroll, because this is an important background thing into going into this situation. Knowing where the Minneapolis Police Department comes from and their history of racism is a very important prerequisite to this situation and understanding this situation as a whole. So mute me, go over to Andy.
Take it, Andy, if you take it away.
Yeah,
give us,
so
tell us the story.
Bob Kroll is the representative for the Fraternal Order of Police, I think is what they go by, of Minneapolis. He, at the Trump rally that was at the Target Center in downtown Minneapolis, Bob Kroll was trying to basically get all the cops to wear shirts that said "Cops for Trump." And when he was told, no, you can't do that, he threatened to have the whole department go on strike and not protect the rally. So basically, cops protecting like the streets, security officers and whatnot, couldn't wear them. But a couple cops appeared on stage with Bob Kroll and Donald Trump. And one of those cops was this, no, it wasn't him. Oh, never mind. I thought this killer cop had appeared on stage too, but apparently
going around.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
Oh, okay, my bad. So anyway, Bob Kroll, it has a history of violent outbursts when he's criticized. He frequently uses his large stature. He's about 6'2", 6'4", 200 some pounds. He's a big guy. He is imposing and intimidating, and has a history of using that to intimidate journalists into not criticizing him. He's also married to a producer at, I believe it's our local CBS affiliate. So you can guess which news never runs stories about police brutality. When confronted by a Jewish reporter in a one-on-one interview, Bob Kroll made anti-Semitic remarks and then challenged the man to a fist fight, saying, "I'm not wearing a body cam." So this is the guy that the Minneapolis PD elected to represent them. And it wasn't close. It was 70%.
One thing, just quick interjection. He's also a member of a white supremacist motorcycle gang. His ties to that are well documented. Any Google search will give you all the evidence you need of that.
Which one do you know off the top of your head?
I don't, unfortunately.
Yeah. It seems like there's a new white nationalist neo-Nazi group popping up every fucking day.
Right.
So I forget what prompted me to contact Bob Kroll, like the specific instance. But I sent him a message through Facebook that said, "Nazi piece of shit." And I left it at that. He comes in with this long rant about how he can't be a Nazi because his family is from Poland. And then said that I live in my parents' basement, called me a cowardly cunt, and said, if I hate him so much, why don't I go down to 1812 University Avenue Northeast and beat the shit out of them. So I just kind of had fun with that for a while. I contacted our local independent news and arts weekly, the city pages, and sent them the screenshots, and they picked it up and published it online with the headline, Bob Kroll calls random Minneapolis man a cowardly cunt. So yeah, he's a little unhinged. He's a loose cannon with violent tendencies who jumps to violence as a first response, and 70% of Minneapolis cops thought he represented them. And yeah, I'd say that's about right.
Yeah, cop unions are a fucking joke. They're obviously not unions.
No, of course they're not unions.
They shouldn't be considered unions. They're not, because cops bust unions historically. So I don't know why the fuck
they're gangs.
Yeah, they're street gangs. Is like what they are. It's just like they should not be considered fucking unions.
Absolutely.
But did Jeff? I don't know if Jeff had something he wanted to say, but I think he has. Okay, Jeff, did you have something you want to say? Because did you find out what motorcycle gang, or did you have anything you wanted to say?
I was looking what motorcycle gang that he was affiliated with. I was unable to find it. I literally started searching when it was mentioned, but I still haven't been able to identify which gang he's affiliated with. But I'll still continue to search. But something else that I've wanted to add to this is what I've been seeing on Facebook. I'm not the brother that's there on the ground in Minneapolis. I'm in Denver right now, so I'm not able to attend these protests, attend these rallies and such. So I'm kind of confined to the same sort of resources that Nelson and Tommy, you are. But I also do have, the resources of my friends on Facebook who are in Minneapolis and who have other perspectives in the city from my brothers. And some of them are just, appalling, to say the least. Some people that I graduated with that I thought were decent human beings are saying things like, let's wait until we see the autopsy, until we jump to any judgment. And things like everybody deserves their day in trial, even though George Floyd was absolutely denied his right to a day in court. And it's absolutely appalling that they're using that justification to have people back off these murderous police. Saying like they deserve their day in jail. Like, yeah, well, they deserve their day in court. Yeah, George Floyd fucking deserved his day in court too. But guess what? A cop just decided that he didn't deserve his day in court and put his knee on his fucking neck and killed him in broad fucking daylight. But some of the dumb posts that I've seen from my friends are just appalling. I guess I don't really have anything more to add right now. But yeah.
Yeah, you make a good point. It's just like I've seen shit like that too. Obviously, being in Alabama, it's a very red state and very pro-Trump and very pro-cop. But something else I've seen on a different camera angle, different pictures, is that you see like the cops basically murdering George Floyd right there, and then like another cop like standing over to the side and like talking to people, and someone was like, well, what about the good cops? And someone was like, all right, they're the bad cops, there's the good cop doing nothing. So
right,
it's like when you say like, oh, there's good cops, I mean, maybe at like an individual level, maybe, but when they get in that group mentality and they get around that whole atmosphere, that all sheds away because they want to not look like they're weak in front of their like fucking reactionary shitbag fellow police. So obviously this whole good cop narrative is getting thrown out of the fucking window. And it's showing that like they're not they're as we know, and hopefully the people listening know, it's just like the history of the police and the history of sheriff's departments are slave catchers and union busters. Like, they are not here to protect you. They're here to protect the property rights of the rich. And that is something that definitely
and harass Black and brown people.
Exactly. And that's them. And we're seeing this over and over and over again. Did y'all have anything, Greg or Andy, any more updates about what's going on the ground?
Greg, I want to hear more about what happened when you experienced tear gas and stuff like that the other night, and when you got help from a random person with dumping milk on your face to release gas. I'd like to hear more about that.
Okay.
Real quick, Greg, I want to throw this in because I asked somebody who basically knows a lot about these chemicals and whatnot. Milk is really good, but next time you guys go out, get milk of magnesia. It works a lot better.
Yeah, a lot of people are mixing that up on site in empty water bottles. But milk was a lot easier to get. There's a Target right there. I don't know if you guys have Targets down there. It's an everything store.
We do have Targets. We do. They're fancier Walmart. Also, everyone make sure to take out
fancy Walmarts.
take out your contacts. Like, if you wear contacts and go to any of these events that there could be tear gas, please take out your contacts. And if you have to wear glasses because if that shit gets under your contacts, you're fucked.
And if you have to fry bacon,
Nelson, thank you for making that.
No problem.
Tommy, if you have to fry bacon,
cast iron skillet.
Right.
Woo! All right, Greg, take it away.
Yeah.
Nelson, bring the cornbread.
So I double checked. The name of the motorcycle gang Bob Kroll is in is called City Heat. Officially, it denies being tied to any white supremacist organizations, but they're well known for wearing white supremacist patches on their uniforms, including things like iron crosses.
It's also a gang made up of cops.
Entirely police officers, yeah.
The motorcycle club is entirely
so cops. That right away is included.
So this is like wanna be like Punisher dudes, like with the stupid Punisher logo and shit like that. Okay.
Let's see. So I did actually remember a couple other things from last night. I'll get back to the tear gassing in a flash, but so at the very beginning when we were congregating at the murder site, the crowd suddenly parts. I can't hear a damn thing that's going on at the front. You know how it goes. And this group of black men are dragging this white guy out of there. And like I'm like just trying to figure out what's going on. One of them's like, he's got a gun in 3 fucking clips. And it turns out this guy was making trouble at a rally for Minnesota Nurses Association. They were protesting to get more protective equipment and shit. This guy brought a gun there too and had to be escorted out. And this time, I'm pretty sure he did not walk away with the gun. They beat the shit out of him. I saw somebody take the gun and then just like walk in the other direction, nonchalantly. And I'm just glad that guy has the gun now. But If you're a white dude and you're showing up at a Black Lives Matter protest, if you want to bring a gun, you damn well better talk to the people organizing the protest. Because if you just show up with one, it's going to be assumed you're a white supremacist. When Black Lives Matter was occupying the 4th precinct, they were shot at by white supremacists. They killed 5 protesters. White people with guns are a big no-no at these kinds of things.
Wait, time out. What? I have not heard about that. When did that happen?
The 4th precinct?
Yeah, what?
That was after Jamar Clark.
Sorry, everyone's talking. Jamar Clark. When Jamar Clark was killed by Minneapolis police in North Minneapolis, Black Lives Matter, the IWW, and the Twin Cities Coalition for Justice for Jamar, all kind of got together and they took over the 4th precinct, which is in North Minneapolis, kind of my area. It's 5 miles from here, Andy?
Yeah.
It's
2015.
Maybe 2 miles from here.
It's damn close. I ride my bike there.
Yeah, that's the precinct that we live in, and the station house is only about 2 miles away. It's a pretty straight shot from our house, actually. Yeah.
So that was Jamar Clark. That was, what year was that? 2015,
I think is what Jeff just said.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Jeff.
during that time, Bob Kroll also called Black Lives Matter terrorists and called for them to be shot on sight. He's repeatedly referred to the North Side, where we live, which is one of the blackest areas of the blackest city in Minnesota.
We're a very segregated city.
A bunch of animals. So, yeah, he's a real fun guy.
Yeah, he sounds like a barrel full of fucking fun and sounds like an asshole. But can you go back? Because what people need to realize is that, like, obviously the South we've touched on problems of segregation, even still today. But could you talk more about how your city is segregated amongst racial lines? Because people don't really tend to put two and two together when it comes to northern cities.
Oh yeah, people want to say that the South is like the only place in America where there's racism, and Minneapolis is incredibly segregated. There's very few like. Okay, so yeah, North Minneapolis is like the black neighborhood. Northeast is gentrifying quick as hell. Even the borders of North Minneapolis are starting to gentrify. Back in the day, white flight hit Minneapolis ridiculously hard, and now we have this incredible tiered suburb system. The three of us were raised in a city called Brooklyn Center. It's just outside of North, and it was where all the white people went when they left Minneapolis back in the day. But now it's where the black people live, where a lot of the black people live. And the whites just keep moving out to further and further suburbs. Next they go to Maple Grove or whatever.
Sounds like Alabama.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like Birmingham, and that's what people expect in like southern cities, like Birmingham and Montgomery and stuff. Like you have like the city, and then you have like the outlying suburbs where all the white people move to. But like people tend to forget that like it's not just the South. Like it's kind of reason why we do the podcast is to bring light to the fact that we're not all just a bunch of fucking stupid hicks.
Right.
But yeah.
Like, the liberals up here got subtler about their racism. But it's still there. All these social trends are very much well documented. Back in the day, there was this very wealthy black neighborhood called the Rondo neighborhood in St. Paul. When they constructed 94, which is our major highway, they tore down the whole neighborhood.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lost thing. Like people don't realize that when Eisenhower built the interstate highway system, they cut through black neighborhoods and destroyed black communities building the interstate system.
Yeah. So yeah, Minneapolis, incredibly racist police chief. Well, not just police chief, police union rep. And yeah, it's just kind of been structured on the idea like we need to force people into certain areas, and the best areas have to belong to the people with money, who by a remarkable coincidence all happen to be white.
Jeff,
back in the day, there was that covenant pact too.
What was that?
There was like this covenant that neighborhoods would sign that were basically like, we won't rent or sell to black people.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Redlining.
It was it's a very redlined city, and you can still see that.
Jeff, did you want to say something, or he disappeared again? Okay. Greg and Andy, did you want to chime in with anything more that you guys have seen, or anything else you guys want to mention?
Jeff did ask about tear gases. I should probably mention that. So the thing about tear gas is a bandana over your face isn't going to do anything. Very important to remember. And as you mentioned earlier, milk and magnesia is the best thing. Regular milk will work, but you want to flush it out with water as soon as possible after that. From my experience, Minneapolis is really good about remembering milk. I saw like 1 in 5 people had a gallon with them. which is probably why they became projectiles when at a certain point. Let's see. But yeah, all you got to do, if you're running, you see someone with a gallon, just be like, hey, help me out. And every time they'll do it. Jeff, did you have any specific questions about it, or? You're muted.
Yeah, I mean, how did it feel? Like, were people like quick to help you with it? And also what I wanted to say before about the interstate highway system. Sorry, I missed when you guys were asking me about it. It was actually designed, the way that it was designed was to go through these neighborhoods to split up, these black neighborhoods. When they originally started building the highway system in the 50s, like it was originally designed as an oppressive system. Like, yes, they're building this huge highway system, but the way that they designed it was specifically oppressive to split people up. But what Greg was talking about, yeah, I just wanted to hear about like if people were helping you out and if like how it felt, and tips for people going forward if they're going to be going to protests where police might be using this kind of ammunition, how to prepare for it and things like that going forward.
Okay. It hits the eyes first and it stings like fuck. That's the worst part. Like, I can handle the stuff in the mouth. I love spicy food. It's not the same at all, and it can cause severe respiratory problems if you're exposed to a lot. I was lucky. I was running away every time they started launching it. Wait for it to dissipate back. That's the game. Back and forth. So don't get hit with it hard. Try getting hit with it. That's the best advice I can give. It's easy to get help around here. I don't know how well it is in other cities, but yeah, you ask anybody, they'll help you out. And there was like a little camp set up a distance from the protest where there were people giving more intensive care to people that were hit hard.
Real quick, Jeff, can you mute your mic? Can you mute Jeff's mic? Thank you.
Okay. A great thing I see a lot of people do. There were some people that had like the what are they, N95 masks. Those work for tear gas pretty okay. And they were running up and just throwing them back. The cops are wearing gas masks too, but better them than us, even if it's not affecting them as much. Kicking is a better strategy than throwing, I should point out. Like, you can't control it as well, but you have to like lean down, and this thing is spewing gas. Like
I did see that people, if they could find like construction cones or anything to like to cover them.
Mm-hmm. And a big part of the Minneapolis Uprising, or the Battle of Lake and the whatever you want to call it. Anyway, a lot of people were stacking up Target cards. You guys have Target, right? Anyway, they were stacking up Target cards by the bus stop as a basic barricade and putting vulnerable people behind that, so that the people that were able to make more of a scene, the people that aren't small children or people with head injuries, could do their thing. Because like I said earlier, these cops are just shooting indiscriminately at the crowd, trying to break it up by any means necessary. You never knew where the tear gas was going to fall. It almost never went to the people that were throwing rocks. It always went to the masses of people that were trying to do a nonviolent protest.
Can you tell us more about the concussion grenades? Because it seems like, especially when you look at what happened in Standing Rock, where that one protester had their arm basically blown off by one of these things. Can you talk about those, like what that feels like and how to deal with those, like what you saw firsthand?
They're loud. They're very, very loud, and they will shoot them like as close to people as possible. Earlier today, I was watching a live footage of what's going on at the 3rd Precinct right now, and someone got hit like right by the ear with a concussion grenade, and I don't know who it is. I hope they're okay. because those things are loud as fuck when they explode, 20 feet in the air. I can't imagine it going off right next to your ear. Like the ground kind of shakes when one of those things goes off. It's probably the loudest firecracker I've ever heard.
Yeah, because they're designed to stun you and to disorient you and really fuck you up, like rupture your eardrums.
It's to throw on those.
Yeah, and so you were saying it hits you. We'll stay on this topic for a bit, then we'll see if we get back to anything about the more stuff about the actual case and ongoing stuff. But real quick, because this is obviously going to be a thing going forward. We've seen this before, and there's going to be more protests like this, more uprisings, because cops keep killing unarmed Black people at an alarming rate, which they have done historically, and they keep doing it. But just now, people are finally seeing it because of the rise of social media and independent news sources. But you said like it hits your eyes first, and then if you inhale it, it gets down into your sinuses and into your throat, and it burns like a motherfucker, right?
Yes, it does. If you're driving through it, turn off your AC, roll your windows up. It will hit hard. The concussion grenades, I mean, they didn't affect me too much, but if it lands near you, it will affect you. And there's almost no warning before one of those goes off because it launches and it goes fast and then it just bursts before you have time to run.
Are they using
the tear gas, because it takes time to spread.
Now they're firing these with like grenade launchers. Basically, they're shoving these. They're basically grenade-sized things of tear gas and grenade-sized concussion grenades, and they're firing them indiscriminately into crowds.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what sparked that? I mean, everything was peaceful up until what point? Like, when did it not become? Who started first? Did the police start first, or did protesters start first?
I'm not entirely sure from my perspective. The first thing I noticed was people going around breaking windows, a couple of skate punks, hitting it with their skateboards, some other guys throwing rocks. It might have been our side. I'm not about to blame anyone for it because, fuck the pigs.
Yeah, seriously, fuck the pigs, because they have all the fucking they can walk out with live ammunition and spray down people if they wanted to and could get away with it. Like people throwing rocks and throwing bricks and whatever, they're fighting back. It's not an equal balance of power. The power balance is definitely in the hands of the police. But I mean, I get what Tommy's saying. Like, we want to, if the police instigate this, then that's even worse.
Right. That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
If the police were doing this unprovoked, which would be, like you said, way worse than what it would be. But yeah, fuck the cops. Burn down every building down there. I don't care.
Yeah. Their response was definitely disproportionate, since they weren't targeting people that were specifically doing vandalism. They were targeting the crowd as a whole, which goes to show their relationship to the community, I suppose.
Yeah. Protect and serve, right?
Yep. And that's why we treat cops as a whole like pieces of shit. You're all cop killers.
Jeff, you wanted to bring up something. We need to talk about a certain somebody that's in national news that's from your great state. Tommy, can you unmute Jeff?
Yeah, for sure. So Amy Klobuchar, she was easily elected to Senate the first time that she ran because she had that name recognition. A lot of people of my father's generation and beyond recognized her name because they remembered reading her father's things in the Star Tribune and his books and things like that. And, she went along with that classic Minnesota liberalism that was so traditional and classic for so long. But when you look at her record as a prosecutor and you look at the disparity between races of how she prosecuted cases, of how she made deals with people, how she prosecuted people to the full extent of the law, it's very obvious what her goal was when she was going in there. And it kind of just breeds that, it doesn't breed. It kind of just speaks to the mentality of the Minnesota liberal, of how, they like to label themselves as very progressive and liberal and stuff, but when it comes to race relations, it's just kind of dog shit, and they're not really doing anything except, you know, continuing the oppression that's been going on. I saw Andy was signaling that he had something to say, so I'll pass it over to him.
Yes. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so Klobuchar, like, she really made it big before her Senate run, touting this law and order mentality as the district attorney for Hennepin County, where she declined to prosecute cases of police brutality and murder.
Point of clarification, Hennepin County is the county where Minneapolis is.
Yeah, it's the largest county in Minnesota, population-wise. Contains Minneapolis and several suburbs. What was I going to say? But yeah, so yeah, she was district attorney for Hennepin County. And when, I don't know if I'm going to get his name right, Wayne Reyes was murdered in 2006, she declined to prosecute. His killer is this Chauvin guy. He's the killer cop in this situation, too.
You're lying.
No,
I am not
Get
lying.
the fuck
He's
out of
killed
here.
4 times
He's
before.
killed 4 people.
Are you serious?
What
And
the
every-
fuck?
Yeah.
Twice under Amy Klobuchar's watch as Attorney General, and she declined to prosecute each time. And then he killed 2 people in 2011 and was never prosecuted.
Amy Klobuchar.
So five
has
times.
never-
5. He has 5 bodies on his hands.
Holy
Well,
shit.
It
Yeah.
honestly doesn't surprise me that this happened under Klobuchar, because if you honestly hadn't brought her name up, I totally forgot that she was a person, let alone senator of Minnesota. So, but yeah, that's disgusting and egregious, and that's why this cop keeps fucking killing people, because what the fuck is gonna happen to him? Nothing.
Right.
No, he finally lost his job. He had to kill 4 people to lose his job. How many more people does he have to kill to get tried? Like, Jesus Christ.
The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Fry, who's pretty much a spineless jellyfish, he's calling for the arrest of Chauvin now.
After he's killed 5 people.
Yeah.
Jeff, did you want to say something?
So not only was he involved in that killing that Andy brought up earlier, but there's also a killing in 2014 that he was also involved with. He wasn't the shooting officer, but it was his partner at the time that was the shooting officer. And his partner ended up paying like a $25,000 settlement or something like that. Like, this guy has been involved in, you know, instance after instance after instance of, you know, not being a good fucking person. And he's, you know, given all these royalties as a cop. Like, it's fucking bullshit. Like, how are you letting this reckless human being carry a weapon in public and give him a badge? Like,
And that partner from 2014, he was also at the scene. He's one of the good cops that didn't actually kill him, but still didn't do anything to stop it.
he was the one that was standing up, not doing it, not leaning on him. Yeah, it was that guy.
Yeah, he was like standing over to the side. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
that guy.
Threatening bystanders, that guy. The guy threatening citizens for just watching and condemning. Yeah.
I mean, he's an accomplice, no doubt. Like, he's telling people to back away while his fellow, you know, his coworker is killing someone. Like, he's an accomplice. He's
Yeah,
just
if he
as
didn't-
guilty. No
Eddie.
doubt in my mind, he's just as guilty.
Yeah, if he didn't have a badge, he'd be tried as an accomplice to murder.
Right.
Exactly. And I mean, like, Andy and Greg, they'll drag Jacob Fry all across the ground with you know, good reason. Like, he's not a good mayor. He's not a good politician. He's not a good person. But what he said today, where he said this guy needs to be charged, like, that actually meant something. But Andy and Greg are absolutely right. He's a spineless jellyfish. He didn't say anything about those other 3 cops that were accomplices. He said, this one arresting officer should be tried for murder. No, all 4 of them should be tried for murder.
Agreed.
The whole fucking department should be investigated because the whole fucking department is racist and bullshit and corrupt and full of murderers. Disband, disarm, and prosecute the police.
What Jeff said.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tom.
I was going to say the good thing, or bad thing, is that the FBI is investigating them, and they all 4 did lose their job. So that is good. That's a start. That's something that doesn't ever happen in most cases. But to be honest, would it have happened if there wasn't so much media attention on it? Like, would it have happened? And it's just so frustrating, man, because people have been saying this for years that Black people are being abused by cops, Black people are being killed by cops, and now, thank goodness, social media exists, and there's a camera in every pocket now, and so we can see what's actually going on, and people can actually wake up, and hopefully one day, maybe 20 years from now, something will finally get done.
Andy, did you want to say something? You had your hand up.
Yeah. So going back to Jacob Fry, it's actually surprising to me that Jacob Fry called for the arrest of Chauvin.
Wait, just to be clear, Jacob Fry, that's the guy that looks like Justin Trudeau, right? That guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Justin Trudeau's little brother. Yeah.
Andy, real quick, are your mayoral races nonpartisan or is it partisan?
It's partisan.
So is he a Republican or a Democrat?
He's a Democrat, of course.
The Republicans never win the mayor election. And I'm just going to talk about the mayor elections for a second because I think it's funny. We have ranked choice voting. There's about 6 or 7 Democrats running and 1 Republican. I usually vote for Captain Jack Sparrow, who ironically is not a member of the Pirate Party, which is usually my second choice.
Yeah. Our last mayoral election was in 2015, because it's always the year after a presidential election. And there were 33 candidates on the ballot, and 19 of them were Democrats. So, yeah, Minneapolis, the Democrats have a stranglehold on Minneapolis, and they have since...
But the Democrats are supposed to be the good guys.
Yeah, right? Going back to Jacob Fry, who's the current mayor, he won basically on public safety. Like, he was pretty buddy with the cops. So to hear him, on NPR talk about why isn't this guy locked up it's something, but he's still so there's no backbone.
Jeff, did you want to chime in? Tommy, do you think?
So yeah, Jacob Fry, somebody I worked with when I was in high school. I worked at this restaurant, 50s Grill, and one of the waitresses that worked there with me, she actually is an assistant in the mayor's office now for Jacob Fry. And she actually said that Jacob Fry is, him and the police chief, what's his name, Arenado, they're actually golfing buddies. Like, they're like buddy, like they're like best friends, like sort of shit, so they're, he's not going to be criticizing this guy at any point. He's always going to be supporting him, so that's just some more background information. That's all I have.
Okay, now that I remember, real quick, just a comparison and how like race even is an issue within police departments and how these things are prosecuted. Can we talk about the shooting of Justine Dahman? She's she's the white lady, the Australian lady who got shot by a Somali American police officer, and then the cop was like prosecuted and
immediately
because the victim was white and the officer was black.
That's exactly what it takes to catch a police brutality charge in Minneapolis. If the cop is black and the victim is white.
And like it kind of stands out, like the real differences between these two cases, like besides that too. Like in that case, the officer was startled. It's not a defense of the officer at all, but like he could actually claim that defense. And in this case with George Floyd, like the officer has no leg to stand on there. Like we've all seen the video footage and we know that he was not startled. He was not scared. This guy was in handcuffs face down on the street and he kneeled on his fucking neck. But, you know, he's not going to be tried. Well, I hope he's tried, but it's kind of up in the air. I'd say it's like a 50-50 shot right now. And
he hasn't even been arrested yet.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And the other case, like that guy, he was just run up the public, just, you know, trotted out for the public to judge, you know, just torn down. He deserved it, but like, so does every other cop. The Jamar Clark officers, that didn't happen. The Philando Castile case, he got fired, but he was never prosecuted or anything.
No.
You know, and it just shows the difference here. You know, they're throw a black officer under the bus, but they'll never do the same for a white officer.
Mm-hmm. We had the case of Greg Gunn here in Montgomery, and it was just dragged out and dragged out and dragged out. They arrested the police officer, but it was just dragged out until finally, Tommy, it went to trial. It was dragged out so long. It finally did go to trial, and he was convicted, but he got like some bullshit sentence.
Yeah, it was horseshit. But that's best case scenario. That's the best we get. I mean, that's the little I hope for in this case. I mean, to be honest, which is so sad. They should be tried for murder for a full sentence, just like they give everybody else.
I'm holding my breath in the Georgia case. That's the one where I feel that if those two men don't go down for murder, then I don't know if I think the justice system, that's the final straw of the justice system. There's no justice. If those men who got in their pickup trucks and shot that man in cold blood because he's black, obviously that's what happens because he's black. And if they don't get charged for murder and convicted, then I think that's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back, because that was a fucking lynching that was caught on camera, and it's fucking horrible.
Nelson, in response to what you just said, I honestly don't think that there has been a legitimate justice system in this country for people who have different skin colors than me or you.
Yeah, you're right.
In the entirety, especially going back to Emmett Till, there's no justice relief whatsoever in this country.
It's always been a justice system with like an asterisk next to it, like only for white people.
Mm-hmm.
The just us system.
Yeah. Just real quick.
That's the way to say it.
Some pictures from pretty recently. The protest at the 3rd precinct is still going on from last night. The police have put up barriers, fences, and protesters have constructed their own barricades from Target shopping carts and plywood, and looks like whatever they can drag out.
Are y'all going to head back out there tonight?
I might. If I don't go tonight, I'm going to go tomorrow. I'm super fucking tired.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
But I had one thing. What was it? If I think of it, I'll let you know.
Oh, yeah, and they're dusting tear gas all over.
Well, at any point, if you do go back out, take some pictures and we'll post them up on our website.
Yeah, please do. We'll post them up on social media and do it. I got out the word, as obviously we can't do a live show, but I'm hoping that that Tommy can get this mixed down and we get it out as quickly as possible.
Oh yeah.
So people can know. But yeah,
Oh, sorry. I've been posting a lot of pictures to my personal media, Nelson. Feel free to steal whatever you want.
Dig it. If you take any video or anything too, send it my way.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to pull any video I shared or pictures,
appreciate it, guys.
Off my page too. Go ahead.
Any final remarks? Because I think we've been going at this for a little hour. So if you guys do want to get back out there.
So I just wanted to say something. I can't remember exactly what it was. I forgot. So go back and mute me because I forgot it. But sorry.
Oh, on that live video Greg shared. Oh, there's police snipers on the roof of the precinct. Tear gas makes a really pretty sunset, though.
There's snipers on the roof. Did they say they have live ammunition or they got rubber bullets?
I don't know what they have.
They probably got live ammunition if they're fucking snipers.
Yeah.
Could be.
Jeff remembered.
Looks like 100 cops or so and a few hundred protesters.
I just want to say, like, to people that are going to be going out and protesting, like, go. They have tear gas.
Hold on, Jeff, real quick. You got accidentally muted, so back it up from the beginning.
Okay, so I just wanted to say, like, to the people that are going to be going out and protesting, go prepared. They have tear gas. You know what they have. They have rubber bullets. So just go out prepared. Make sure that you have milk of magnesia to help your eyes. Make sure that you have gas masks if you're able to have those. Make sure that you have some sort of protection to protect you from the rubber bullets, something like that. But if you're going to be out protesting, make sure that you're protected. Make sure that the police are not able to make you another casualty, because they will not think twice to make you another casualty.
Real quick, just to piggyback off what Jeff said. If you're out and you see another protester getting attacked by the police, grab other protesters and start de-arresting people, because this bullshit, because you don't know, like, they're going to get dragged off and God knows where these fucking cops are going to drag them off to. Because in the midst of a protest, when things are going fucking wild, I wouldn't put it past the pigs to just start executing or like making people quote unquote disappear, or at least taking them back to the jail and roughing them up before they let them out. So like start de-arresting people at these protests. Like if you see cops swarming in, also watch out for being encircled, like getting trapped. Make sure you always have an exit, because these cops are trained in riot policing to trap people in, to corral them in, to make sure there's no escape so they can arrest everybody. So be aware of your surroundings. Piggyback off, so people are messaging me. If you do, like, obviously a dry bandana is shit, but like if you could wet your bandana and tie it around your face to trap the gas from getting into those mucus forces in your mouth and your nose and your eyes, that'll help. One quick and easy thing, if you can find them, is safety goggles that not just ones like glasses, but actual goggles themselves. They'll seal in and so the shit won't get in your eyes. Paintball masks are really good because they'll seal. Any type of goggles are good, even if swimming goggles, anything that will like form a seal around your eyes. So if you have to run out there with a wet bandana and swim goggles, like you'll look in a snorkel, like you'll look stupid, but at least you won't get fucking choked. Greg or Andy? Greg.
So I'm sorry for not bringing this up earlier. It is an important issue, and I just wanted to make sure I touched on it. So there's a term for a certain kind of behavior that the media undergoes when this kind of protest happens. It's called cracker jacketing. I was informed of it by some anarchists that I met in the IWW. Your listeners know what the IWW is, right?
Yeah, they do.
Probably.
We're actually gonna have we have IWW in Alabama. We're gonna have them on the show here soon.
Fuck yeah. Industrial workers of the world. Yeah. One big union. So crackerjacketing is basically when the media takes a protest like this and says that it's entirely led by agitators from radical organizations who tend to be white and busting in from the suburbs. It's bullshit. It's patently false, and it's pretty much a racist claim that implies that Black people can't organize themselves. As someone that's been to more than a few Twin Cities BLM events, that's not how it works. The Twin Cities Coalition for Justice for Jamar is almost entirely Black folks. The white folks know that they're there to follow a lead and not there to lead the movement. And the Black Lives Matter movement as a whole is mostly led by young Black people. And I should also point out they're usually working in collaboration with AIM, the American Indian Movement, which has a pretty strong presence in these cities. They're also working with, what's that organization? It's the immigration rights one, Minnesota Immigration Rights Council, MIRAC, yeah. Minnesota Immigration Rights Action Coalition, there we go, MIRAC. So, these are not white-led organizations. These protests are not white-led. White people that show up are to follow the lead, and they're not supposed to, go off into adventurism or start waving AK-47s around as much as we might want to. If you're going to burn down the police station, do it when there aren't crowds of vulnerable people around.
So basically just be smart about it.
Yeah, and don't listen to the media. They're full of shit.
Yeah, that whole outside agitator thing is a throwback to the Jim Crow era. A lot of Southern politicians like to say that when they talked about outside agitators and carpetbaggers and blah, blah, when NAACP and Students for Nonviolence and like a bunch of civil rights organizations were getting kicked off in the South. They tried to say that they were all outside agitators from the North and they were all communists and all this other stuff, which would have been really cool if they were communists. But some of them were. But that's an old tactic that the North is taking from the South, because Southern politicians even today still say those terms to talk about when protests happen in the South.
Yeah, it was a big thing in Detroit when there were, I'm sure you know your history. They always claim it's the communists coming in. It's like, I think you're overestimating how much people tend to listen to us. So
you're really overestimating the power that quote unquote communists have in the United States. We're gonna have like the fascist takeover before like a communist movement ever even gets off the ground. Andy, final thoughts. Tommy, do you think?
Stay safe, fight for what you believe in. Got to do what you got to do.
Hell yeah. Well, Jeff, it was nice to finally actually see you and talk to you, because I met both of your brothers before. Y'all stay safe. Annie and Greg, always two of my favorite comrades from our SPUSA days. So I'm glad I could meet you guys, even though you're both assholes. But
yeah, they are biggest assholes in the world.
Fuck off.
But they direct those asshole tendencies towards the people that deserve it, except for me. But
if anyone deserves the big guy, it's you.
Thanks, buddy.
You deserve all we give you and more.
Love you guys. And Jeff, I hope you can come down too. We all go to Waffle House again.
Hell yeah.
Greg, we never got the experience. You and Jeff didn't get to experience that Waffle House treatment.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah.
I've had Waffle House before. We have Waffle House in Colorado. I've had a cigarette in my pancakes before.
If you have a cigarette in your waffle or your omelet, that means it's a good that means it's going to be good.
It's breakfast and your after breakfast smoke.
Hell yeah. Merritt Bros.
I also wanted to point out I'm wearing a shirt that I've had since 5th grade, and I'm representing Minneapolis right now as much as I can. Fucking justice for George right now. Fuck Minneapolis police. They're fucking pieces of shit. That's all I wanted to say.
Fuck yeah. Definitely justice for George Floyd and his family. Obviously, for what it's worth, thoughts and prayers are with them. But obviously they want justice, and thoughts and prayers are going to do so much, but you all are putting in the work on the ground along with all the other protesters to bring to light this injustice and hopefully get justice for Mr. Floyd and his family, because that's what everyone's been crying for forever, is justice. They want justice. So there's no justice, there's no peace. Death to the fascist police. Anyway, y'all, please be safe. We'll catch you all next time. Thanks for doing this. We're going to try and get this up as soon as possible.
Yes.
Normally with the outros, Dixieland Proletariat. We're coming to you from Montgomery, Alabama. We like to recognize we're recording on occupied land that rightfully belongs to Muskogee and his people. Thanks, y'all. We have some more episodes and everything coming up soon. Please, Merritt, if y'all can send me any links for the show notes, if there's anything news-wise. Andy, if you can link me that article where the union, the police gang leader calls you those names, and hopefully we'll get the message out to people that need to hear it. But thanks, y'all, for coming on. I really appreciate it. Please stay safe. Love you guys.
Thank you.